Over the weekend, a dramatic twist emerged in the intensifying Iran-Israel conflict. Behind the closed doors of high-level intelligence briefings and war room consultations, a secret debate shook the foundations of U.S. foreign policy. Senior U.S. officials revealed that former President Donald Trump had vetoed a covert Israeli proposal to assassinate Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. This was not merely an abstract suggestion, it was a live, time-sensitive plan backed by Israeli operatives, strategically timed after precision strikes on key Iranian nuclear facilities had opened what was described as a rare operational window. Israeli intelligence had reportedly locked on to Khamenei's location, and within minutes, operational forces could have launched a decapitation strike, an act that would have reshaped the Middle East in a single, irreversible moment. Israeli officials lobbied intensely, arguing that taking out the supreme leader would shatter Iran's command structure, paralyze its military cohesion, and possibly trigger regime collapse from within. The proposed operation had the backing of key security factions in Israel, and was framed as a necessary strike in the name of preemptive defense. But when the plan landed in Washington, everything changed. President Trump, known for his unpredictability and hardline stance on Iran, stunned his inner circle by rejecting the proposal outright. According to multiple national security sources, Trump listened to the intelligence, assessed the risks, and delivered a simple but chilling question: have they killed an American? When the answer was no, that no direct American casualties had occurred in this specific exchange, Trump stood up and said, "Then we don't kill their leader." It was a decision that stunned Israeli officials, who were expecting green lights, not red lines. It was also a moment that drew sharp divisions within Trump's own advisory team. Some, including military strategists and hawkish advisors, argued that sparing Khamenei was a strategic blunder, a missed opportunity to end the Iran threat decisively. Others, including elements from the intelligence and diplomatic corps, backed the president's judgment, warning that such an assassination would almost certainly trigger a region-wide war, drawing in Hezbollah, Iraqi militias, Yemen's Houthis, and potentially risking attacks on U.S. embassies and military installations from the Gulf to the Mediterranean. More quietly, some officials feared that killing a sitting head of state, even one without formal executive powers, would cross a threshold that not even the Cold War powers dared to breach. The global political fallout, particularly with European allies and Gulf states, could fracture fragile coalitions. Oil markets would spiral, global shipping lanes could be shut down, and the American public, already weary of forever wars, might not stomach the price of yet another conflict triggered by a single missile. Trump's veto was not necessarily a dove's move. It was a calculated act of restraint. In private conversations, he emphasized that the United States would respond with overwhelming force if any Americans were harmed, but that initiating a war over a symbolic assassination with no American blood involved would be, in his words, bad business. He preferred to project strength without inciting uncontrollable chaos. In a particularly revealing moment, he reportedly said, "We want them to be afraid, not gone. We need someone to surrender." This decision comes amid a broader escalation in the Middle East. Israel has ramped up its airstrikes on Iranian targets in Syria and within Iranian territory itself. Iran, in turn, has mobilized its proxies across multiple fronts: Lebanon, Iraq, and Yemen, preparing for the possibility of direct war. Yet, while the region braces for impact, the most explosive fuse was for now not lit, because of a single presidential numma. Meanwhile, debates rage in the United States Congress. War powers advocates argue that decisions of such magnitude must involve legislative oversight. Others see Trump's act as presidential leadership at its most consequential, deciding between massive escalation and cautious deterrence. Politically, Trump's base is split. The mega-nationalist wing applauds the decision as proof that Trump won't let America be dragged into another endless war. Yet foreign policy hawks see it as a missed opportunity to break the backbone of the so-called axis of resistance. Internationally, world leaders watch carefully. European allies who were critical of Israeli military actions expressed relief over the American restraint. Gulf states, quietly aligned with Israel, sent mixed signals, both worried about retaliation and relieved at the delay of all-out war. Iran, meanwhile, has reportedly moved its leadership and key military figures underground, reshuffling internal security protocols and accelerating its nuclear countermeasures in anticipation of future strikes. As tensions rise, the question remains, was this a moment of wisdom that bought the world time, or a pause that will make the eventual conflict even more explosive? One thing is clear. The United States is no longer just a distant observer in this unfolding crisis. While missiles have yet to be fired from Washington, intelligence has been shared, defense systems have been activated, and red lines have been drawn. The balance of war and peace now hinges not just on what Iran or Israel will do, but on how far the United States is willing to go, or, hold back. In the dim corridors of Washington power, decisions are rarely black and white. They're made in rooms without windows, by people whose words never make it into public transcripts. Over the weekend, as the Pentagon relayed Israeli intelligence indicating the exact whereabouts of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the temperature in the Situation Room reached boiling point, not in degrees, but in consequences. Israel reportedly presented what it called an operational window, a rare moment where a high-value strike could decapitate the Islamic Republic's leadership in one swift blow. Israeli operatives, with United States satellite confirmation in hand, had eyes on Khamenei's convoy. For Tel Aviv, it was an irresistible opportunity, sold as a path to ending Tehran's influence over Hezbollah, Yemen's Houthis, and the broader so-called axis of resistance. For some in Trump's own circle, especially among the hawks, it was the moment they had been waiting for since 1979. And yet, Trump said, no. This wasn't a soft no. It was definitive, resolute, and immediate. According to insiders, Trump didn't even allow the full operation briefing to finish before cutting off the discussion. Not happening, he reportedly said, before pivoting the conversation toward economic pressure and diplomatic leverage. But why? Why would a president known for his unpredictability and strongman tactics, someone who ordered the drone killing of Qasem Soleimani in 2020, pull back from a more decisive strike against Iran's top figure? The answer, analysts say, is a mix of timing, optics, risk, and legacy. First, the timing. The United States is months away from a volatile presidential election cycle. Trump, whether on the campaign trail or the courtroom floor, is trying to present himself as a statesman who can prevent World War III, not start it. A direct strike on Iran's supreme leader would almost guarantee a massive Iranian retaliation, not only in the Gulf, but globally. American bases across the Middle East would become immediate targets. Oil routes in the Strait of Hormuz could be blockaded. Hezbollah might rain rockets on Israel. Cyber attacks could paralyze critical infrastructure in the United States homeland. The cost would be too high and too unpredictable. Second, the optics. Trump has long branded himself as a deal-maker, not a warmonger. In his view, strategic dominance doesn't require constant war, it requires leverage. Killing Khamenei would eliminate a central figure, yes, but it would also destroy any path to negotiation. It would force Iran into a corner with no option but retaliation. Trump likely feared that such a move would undercut any chance of future diplomacy, and more importantly, it would make the United States, not Iran, the aggressor in the eyes of the global community. Third, the risk to Israel. Ironically, the veto might have been as much about protecting Israel as anything else. A decapitation strike against Khamenei would place Israel in Tehran's direct crosshairs. Iran's Revolutionary Guard, its proxy networks and sleeper cells across the region would view it as an existential declaration of war. The Israeli public, already on edge after the recent escalation around nuclear sites, would be placed in an unprecedented state of vulnerability. Trump, despite his unwavering support for the Israeli government, may have calculated that restraint was the greater gift than permission. And finally, there's the matter of Trump's legacy. Like all presidents, Trump is aware of history. The last time the United States attempted a regime change-style assassination on a leader of a hostile state, Libya's Muammar Gaddafi, It led to a decade of chaos, refugee crises, and a power vacuum filled by extremists. Trump likely asked himself, would taking out Khamenei turn Iran into another Syria, another Libya, another endless war? Trump is no dove, but he is obsessed with strength, and for him, restraint can be strength too. Refusing the kill switch didn't make him weak in his own mind, it made him the ultimate decider, the one who could hold the leash when others barked for blood. Yet not everyone in Washington agrees. Some hawks believe Trump squandered a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Others say he blinked in the face of greatness. But one thing is certain, in that one decision Trump changed the course of history, at least for now. The question that remains, what will Iran do next, now that it knows how close death came to its supreme leader? And equally important, how long can Trump hold back a growing storm without losing grip on his own image of dominance?